Let's bring everybody up on stage. I want to let these guys do some self-introductions. Come on up. This is Syaf. All right. This is Edwin. Hey, man. And this is Purnendu. All right, everybody have a seat. And welcome to our panel. All right, we've got 2 mics that we're going to have to share, and then we'll jump into some audience questions a little bit later. I'll make sure there's enough room here. Okay. And why don't we have our panelists first start with some self-introductions. So just take a minute or two and tell us how you got into WordPress and a little bit about your background.
Myself Purnendu from Kolkata, India, and I am with WordPress from 2008. Started working from theme development. Then now I developed plugin. My product is only mainly based on marketplace. It's a commerce-based plugin that allows you to create a multi-vendor marketplace. And about me, I love to meet people and start a friendship, I can say. That's all about. I do love coding.
All right. Thank you, Purnendu.
Hello, Assalamualaikum and good afternoon. I'm Shaf from shaf.net. I started as a freelance web designer. I think couple 7-10 years back, and moving on, just then started a web agency. Currently serving local and some international clients in international markets. And yeah.
How'd you get into WordPress?
How did I get into WordPress? I think it just happened naturally because before I worked on WordPress, back then I worked on some Joomla and also some HTML stuff. So eventually, when WordPress became popular, that's when I jumped to WordPress. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, thank you, Shah.
Assalamualaikum. Very good evening, everyone. I'm Edwin. Okay, my first encounter with WordPress was after the failure I had with Joomla. Joomla was easy to learn. It's just that it's very hard to train other people how to use it. So then I started exploring WordPress. Actually, I discovered it through my blogging days. The first I was using blogspot.com, and then I figured out this is not going to work. So I just wanted to redesign the whole thing myself. That's when I discovered WordPress, and that was in 2007. Starting from there, I started to have feelings to WordPress, and in some ways, I do try to contribute to the community by answering questions on Stack Overflow, or I think Rindy does a lot more than that. He does it twice a day, I think. Yeah, but after that, I think I fell in love with WordPress. I'm just going to develop website based on WordPress most of the time. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Edwin. My name is Rindy Portfolio. I'll just be the moderator today, but I also do help run a WordPress dev agency called Tadpole Collective, mainly based back in New York, but I've been here based in Malaysia for the last year and been part of WordPress since about 2005 is when I discovered WordPress, and been loving it ever since. Similar to Edwin, I first saw Joomla, didn't really understand what was happening, and then saw WordPress, and it clicked immediately for me. So what we want to do here today is talk about what it's like to basically run either an agency or start as a freelancer with maybe some aspirations to join or start your own agency, doing WordPress websites and applications and everything that WordPress can do, joining the community, and why WordPress is such a great tool for your business or to start any kind of business with. So when you think about having a business, you really think about a brand, right? So you have a name, you have a brand, you have a reputation. So the first question I want to pose to our panel, and I'll start with Purnendu, is what do you do with managing your reputation, managing your brand, and making sure that people understand what it means when they hear your company name. What's behind that?
For me, reputation is nothing but trust. I can say it's a trust, it's a belief that the other guy in front of me can deliver what I'm looking for. Yeah, can deliver what I am looking for. Before that, going to this particular part, I'd rather say, is the people sitting opposite side of me? Either it might be, for most of the cases, I do work with offshore clients, and it's rarely happens for me to have physical meetups. And mostly it's via email and via Skype. So via email or via Skype, I do convince him, yes, I can do your stuff. I started my journey as a developer, and finally working as a developer, my mentors told me that I should not behave like a developer. I should rather listen to them. I should rather understand their business, step into their shoe and understand what they are looking for. Then only I can become a good delivery people or run my business. So in terms of reputation, it's first understanding the client, then building the trust, then managing the relationship, and delivery is a small part of the entire game. It mostly depends upon the relationship.
So I hear like listening to the client there and building relationships, right? You mentioned physical meetups. Do your company organizes meetups to in what type of meetup would you organize?
Okay, for meetup, we do meetups to engage more people with WordPress, or rather help each other to promote each one's business. But it's not really about business, it's not about enhancing business, it's about if I'm unable to do, I pass it to Rindy. Rindy, do this one for me. I have a delivery for this particular client. So it would happen like this one rather. In our community in Eastern India, we do have meetups, WordPress meetups, mainly to build our bigger team in WordPress, so that I can go ahead and take any project and get it delivered all my friends or something like that, my community members. So that's all about. Right. In terms of reputation, I should say reputation is nothing but the relationship. So I would rather say maintain the relationship, maintain the goodwill. It might happen, sometimes the client might be angry with you, sometimes he may threaten you, get my money refund or something like that.
Right.
But be patient, everything will be smooth.
Okay. So that's great, thanks. Sayaf, talking about managing client relationships, I mean, what do you do to maintain those type of client relationships that keep your brand and your reputation, high?
So yeah, client is very important, of course. We treat our clients very seriously, okay? Because by the end of the day, we are a very small agency, okay? We only have like 3 people. So we don't have enough people to do the marketing and all stuff, right? By providing good service itself is part of the marketing. When you provide good things, good services, and then your clients will give you referrals, and that's how the business evolve.
Yeah, I found that to be helpful as well, and I think one of the things that you want to do when you're talking about client relations is to never promise something you're not sure about. That's what a rule I always follow, is to, if I think I can get it done tomorrow, and I almost wrote, I'll send it to you tomorrow, I actually stop myself and I say, I'll send it to you Monday, something like that. And I give myself...
And make sure you deliver on Monday.
Make sure I deliver, and then if I send it tomorrow, then I'm ahead of the game, right? But I don't want to be behind the game. Wouldn't you agree, Edwin? I think that over-promising is something you don't want to get into.
Yep, yeah, I agree on that. Most of the times, when I see a customer, I under-promise and over-deliver. So how I do this, it's similar to what Rindy mentioned just now. When they ask for specific features, I'm just telling them, I'm not too sure that this is going to happen, but the next thing tomorrow, it's already out there. We already made it possible for them. So guys, I just showed to them that, hey, I did it for you guys, just specifically for you guys. And somehow this is like sugarcoating the thing, but they really love if you feel like you've impressed them in some ways.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that keeps people coming back, right? Or leads to a referral, which is so important to our small businesses, right? So one of the things that we can do in order to keep that level of outstanding service is to be really efficient and productive workers, right? So, Syaf, you were mentioning that you have a lot of tools for like efficiency and making sure that you can be a productive developer. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Last time we worked probably on emails, but how crazy it is when you have lots of emails coming in and you try to keep track on which conversation they're talking about. So nowadays we shift all the conversation. We are using Slack now for among the developers, right? Also for file sharing, we just basically, being smart agencies. Okay, I'm not saying cheap, but smart. We try to use as many free tools available. For file sharing, we also use a Google Drive. Sufficient, and also sometimes Dropbox, depending on which platform that the clients are comfortable to use with. Also what else? Accounting, bookkeeping. There's a great one, Wave apps that we use, suitable for small.
People using Wave here, I bet.
Yeah, suitable for. It's not suitable if you're bigger companies, but for something small agency like us, it's sufficient. Yeah.
Do you have any tools, Purnendu? Do you use maybe Basecamp? Has anyone used Basecamp here before? Project management tool. It's great for client communications and that kind of thing, checklists.
I'd like to add just one thing in this particular discussion that I faced this particular problem from my side. I do maximum work over chatting, over phone, Skype call. So what I do send a short agenda list. This is the thing we discussed, and finally send it, get it approved by the client. Otherwise, what happens as soon as something goes wrong from whatever fault, they started blaming us. You did this one, you promised this one. So what I did, I either keep recorded, created a gist and send it to client and get it approved. So it is a safe side to protect yourself. That will be, that is the best way to protect yourself. So I do maintain this one. So I'd rather suggest you people to do the same stuff. So at least protect yourself at basic level. I know end of the day, client will kill us, but
it is a good chance to protect yourself. Everything in writing. Always, Let me pause here and ask, how many folks are running their own WordPress business right here already? Okay, so we've got some startups. And how many want to start pretty soon? They're looking to do that? Nobody. One person. All right. Join the crowd, get in the water. It's fine. Edwin, do you have some tools and tips you'd like to share for productivity?
For productivity, there's a lot of space actually, but fortunately in today's world, there's a lot of system out there that you can actually use. The first one is you can actually create yourself, your whole system. For example, like sending out proposals, and then if there's any change request, you create a form, change request form, ask the customer to get it to you, rather than just sending emails or call, because you say that I'm not going to entertain that. Or in another nicer way to say it is that, hey man, you have to use this form, because if you don't use it, because this is to protect you, not to protect me. So that's what I normally do. Okay. And as for online tools, we use Asana. I use Basecamp, but it was quite steep for me. As the thing grows, it gets a bit steeper. Although it's cheaper, but Malaysian ringgit isn't that strong. Yeah. So we use Asana. It's free up to 15 users. And then we use Toggle. Toggle is for you to track your time. Now, the interesting thing about using Toggle is so that you can identify how much time are you spending on a particular customer. So some customer, the job may be easy, but the changes are tremendous. They want the font to be bolder, they want it to be a bit left, a bit, you know how customer can be fussy, right? And then at the end of the month, you can see every single of your team member how much time they spent on a particular project.
That's great. That's so valuable.
And I think there's another one. We use HubSpot CRM.
HubSpot.
Yep. HubSpot. Basically, because we're running based on project basis, so every new project is a new customer or a new project, basically. And then there's value attached to it. Where do they come from? When do we close them? When is the proposal due? Everything is in there. So if I were to get someone new to join the team, they could just refer to this list and can see samples of proposals, samples of change requests, samples of creating form and what sort. Yeah, but I think the most important thing for a web dev agency is that for you to have a system. You don't want to just be solving a customer's problem is number one, but number two, you have to work like a smooth engine. Everything has to go in place. Every gear has to go well together.
And tracking your sales process, your pipeline, right? From prospect to we're discussing, we're making a proposal, and then we're following up on the proposal to see what kind of questions we need to answer, or what kind of questions we might have. So speaking of questions, one question that we get a lot at our agency, and I bet this is familiar to many of us, is, so how much do you charge for a website? To which there are so many answers, are there not? I think, Syaf, you tweeted out the answer to this question before, which is, what was the answer?
How much do you have?
How much do you have? And I think that's the right answer, because it really depends on what somebody can spend, right? So how do you talk about budgeting with a client, Syaf, if you can start?
If you ask this question, you will get lots of different answers, right? You can get from 100 ringgit, 500 ringgit, 1,000 ringgit, up to 10,000 ringgit. It depends on, pricing is in service industry and consulting. Usually, there's no such thing as market price. We can have a benchmark, but you will always get a different price. So basically, what we do is we set up our own benchmark. Okay. All right. So let's say my benchmark is 5,000 ringgit. All right. So we will start that price at that level. Okay. Of course, people will try to negotiate, and we'll see how much requirements that they have. Okay, is it complicated or not? And by setting a certain benchmark, we filter out, those who can't afford, right? Of course, they can, find other developers, find other agencies, or do it themselves.
Yeah, we've taken a similar approach, where we figure out what a lot of people might ask for when it starts, like a simple request, like what's a website? Well, what's the simplest website we could build, and what would we charge for it? And then we say that's where we start. And it's based on how much time it takes us and what we want our rate to be, and that's something everyone has to come to a discussion with themselves about where their rate is. But generally, I think if you've got a lot of people asking you for business and you don't have enough time to take all those clients, then it's time to raise your rate. And it's probably time to raise your rate immediately and all the time. So generally we follow the rule of ask for more, because you're trying to get the most that you can, but what it means is you're getting to the best skill level that you've got, right? And as you progress, you can ask for more. What about you, Purnendu? What's your pricing model? How do you work on that question with the client when they come to you with an open-ended question?
Okay. For me, I started with individual freelancer. At that particular time, I was awake till midnight, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So at that particular time, for me, it's except whatever in your plate. It might be a $20 project, 20 USD. go ahead and do that one, complete that one within an hour, so to earn some money. But now, I'm talking about 4-5 years ago as far. Now things got changed. I'm running a web agency of 32 people right now. So for me, I can't accept the rates right now. So things got changed. I changed my hourly rate. I changed my total system to fit these people. So for me, requirement got changed. As soon as I started growing, you automatically figure out what would be my best rate. So for me, I do share my hourly rate now with my clients and ask for a basic documentation, and then I do share a budget. Like for me, it would be $4,000, suppose. So $4,000 to $5,000. So then they think about, yes, I do have budget. Then you can proceed further. Otherwise, I think let's close the discussion. So it's kind of that particular model. I went to that particular model where I share a budget range and then try to figure out. But I don't agree with share that negotiation part. I don't do negotiation. For me, I do deliver quality. So if you want to agree with my part, then I'm with you. And I'm not really in negotiation. I don't like the negotiation part. For me, if you agree with my budget, I am with you. Otherwise, sorry, boss.
No deal Purnendu, that's what they call it. So that's pretty bold. I like that stance. No negotiations. All right.
He's a city employee, so.
Yeah, well, he doesn't. He's got to manage all those people. Doesn't have time to negotiate with clients.
Yeah, that's why I am in the model that.
I have another question I want to ask to Edwin, which is once you have sort of almost agreed on a price, especially for a big project, I find what might be difficult is a pricing schedule. Because what I found is that you could get burned if you are leaving a lot of money towards the end of a project. You don't want to have people cancel them. So what do you do to do a pricing schedule when you work out with a client? Do you take? Go ahead.
Before I get to this point, can I answer the previous question as well?
Oh yeah, please. Go.
All right. Okay. Typically for a web design, there's a specific budget, but of course, for me, I like to break it down into 3 things. The first is a cost plus base, which means you buy all the plugins, server, everything, and your time, and then you just times by X number of margin that you want. And then the second is subscription base. This is where not many web designers actually sell. It's the maintenance part. You have to go back to your customer and say, hey, man, if you don't maintain your website, your 4,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 ringgit website that you've just built is going to explode or something bad's going to happen. And the third one is value-based. Well, for value-based, it's like if you can quantify their problem, how much it's going to cost them in the future. For example, a government website, if their information is gonna get hacked, and you say that with all that you can do, you can actually save them by about 2 million. That's actually value-based. When actually the price of your cost is probably like $50. Yeah, so you can actually sell that way. So the best way for me is to sell all 3 methods. You never know which one you may get. Yeah.
You're asking somebody to think about what is this worth to you, and then it makes sense for them to pay.
The Rindy's question was towards project management or money management. Yeah. Okay. So typically, I would like to break down into bigger chunks towards the early part. And normally when we start a project, we ask for mobilization fee or deposit, because this is to ensure that they really want to work with us, yeah? And then once you've done your work up to user acceptance test, this is the first time you review to your customer, or maybe this is the time where you want the user to start testing all the features. So once you pass the test, you probably ask for another 30%. And then the 20% you probably give it on warranty for 3 months or a year, entirely up to them. But normally the standard, I think, is about 1 month. Within 1 month, they have to make full payment. Yeah, but that's
So you
normally
ask for like 50% down upfront?
No, that normally depends on the pricing. If it's 5,000 and below, we ask 50-50.
Okay.
Okay, if it's 100,000, it's 30-40. 40, some 30, 40, 50, something
30, 40, 30. Yeah.
If it's 1 million, then it's milestone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always good to hold on to, the client wants to hold on to payment until the end, and we want all the money up front. But the good, compromise there is to, have some in some places, some in the others.
Purnendu may not like negotiating, but for me, I really like negotiating because this is the time when you can actually try to gain an inch more.
Yeah.
If you're playing rugby, you probably know scrum. You push just for one little bit inch more. That's it. Yeah. Or maybe you lose one, but it's always lose. You win some and you lose some. So there's no hard feeling to that, and always treat it as a business. It's a separate identity. It's not you morally corrupt or anything. It's just a business. Okay. So at the end of the day, if you don't get the deal, it's okay. You're still my friend. Okay. One day you might need me. One day you might not. But I'm always going to be there for you.
But sometimes, it's not about, when you negotiate, doesn't mean you negotiate on the price. Sometimes the price can stick, but I give you more, right? I give you more features or I give you more services. Okay, I give you free copywriting, for instance.
Yeah. Just to continue with, let me share my real experience. As I don't negotiate, but yes, I do maintain. I do agree with him, Edwin too, that people come back to me with that particular value project later on. The same people came to me and they know my brand. The first point, what Rindy asked, the brand. They know my brand charge high for quality. So they are already aware about mine. My rejections works great for me, I can say.
That's true. I mean, sometimes when you're saying no, you end up, closing a deal because you just say, you draw your line in the sand and you're either with me or you're against me. And sometimes they're with you, So why don't we pause here for a minute and see if we have any audience questions. Do you have questions for the panel? Anyone? Yeah, question right here. Let me run back.
Say you do a project for a client and you charge based on man days or man hours, and this project is pretty new to you and involves certain features that you probably have not done before. So I'd like to ask, in your practice, typically, do you charge the research time, searching for the plugins or gauging the customization requirements? Do you bill that time as well?
For me, what our company tries to do first, try to give a ballpark figure that for this particular requirement we have not done yet. We completely surrendered on that part, or rather clearly do stated that one that whatever Mr. X, we have not done this yet, but yet we do have the competency. We think we can do this one for you, and it will be budget in the range of 5,000 USD. And for this particular projects, we don't accept any prepayment. We started working, and up to a certain extent. And finally, the terms and conditions would be like, if we complete that one, we will charge you. Otherwise, we don't. So for us, we don't charge for the research work we did, and another thing what we should take care of in this particular thing. Suppose we engaged some junior stuff to do that one for some expert work that our company does. Then also we don't charge, because those people are in training module, and we don't charge the learning man hours to client. So we do respect that part too on the other side of the similar story.
Yeah. You want to take a crack at it?
Right, okay. So imagine this, right? Your car is break down. You don't know what the problem is, okay? And you bring it to a mechanic. Depending on which workshop that you send your car to, some might charge you for the diagnosis. Some might already know what the problem is. Some they check and let you know the problem, but they don't charge you. Okay, hoping that you let me repair your car. So it depends on the situation. Once we got a requirement, usually we will have a meeting with our developers and see how the situation look at. I mean, like sometimes we can have the solution right away. Sometimes it needs more time to find the solution. So if we need more time, then we have to tell the clients that there's some consultation fees that we're going to put should you want to continue this with us. Yeah. So at least our time that doing some research on the project is justified.
Sure. You have anything to add to this?
I'm just about the same as Purnendu.
Okay. I can add one other thing is that sometimes we like to do a discovery project where we'll say, okay, you've got a lot of ideas here, and if the client is not specific enough that we don't really know what they mean, and they want to know what it costs, and we can't tell them because it's not detailed enough, we can propose a discovery project where we'll say, okay, we'll charge you our hourly rate for a 10-hour project, flat rate, and we're going to spend that 10 hours with you to develop an actual requirements plan. And then at the end of that project, you've paid for a very detailed document that says everything that you need. We can also then give you a price for what it will cost to do the project. And you can do it or not, but at least now you'll have that document. You'll have a better idea of what you want yourself. So, other questions from the group? Yeah.
Can I ask you direct questions by seeing your portfolio about the pricing? Like for example, Edwin, I can see that getrumah.com, right? And for Sharif, the clearmywardrobe.com.my. So is it possible to share how much you charge for those websites?
For clearmywardrobe.com.
Yes.
Okay. What you see on the portfolio is not exactly the. In that case, I didn't do the whole thing. Okay, we didn't do the whole thing. We just made some enhancement in terms of the plugins and also some of the features. I think the filtering or something. So to be honest, I don't remember how much it cost. Okay, because it was done like a few years back. I don't know.
For Get Rumah, the initial was 5,000, which is very cheap. But then we progressed further. They wanted more on the website. They started adding requirements. But as requirement comes, you must always make sure that they understand what they're talking about and you understand what they're talking about. Yeah. So then only you can know what you charge. So in the end, the total cost goes about 10,000, almost 10,000. Yeah.
So that's always that's what we always suggest for use, especially for startups that they come to us and they say like, I want to make something like Groupon. Okay, I mean, do you have fun like Groupon? Right? No, right? So no, we be like realistic. Okay, WordPress.
We once had somebody come to us and say, we want to build a Facebook site. I was like, good luck.
Because the wonderful thing about WordPress is they have a lot of plugins. I mean, that can help these startups to at least try to be in the market. You have BuddyPress, and I mean, like if you want to be like Facebook, or there's many other teams and plugins available. So with the right development team, I mean, like they can actually find some traction to that before they actually get actual funding to progress their business.
Absolutely.
Then I'd like to share one trick. This particular Facebook part. I basically, for me, I do tricking with my business. So as soon as someone told me, I want to build a Facebook. So, do you have 1 million budget? No, I have 70,000 budget. So I get to know a client's budget. Then this is the thing I can do for you. So that's a good way to know your client's budget. And one more thing I'd like to cover regarding the security of us. There is a system called escrow system. Hope a few of you used that one. Escrow is a system where a client can put their money to the escrow company and that will keep it on hold. So you can charge 100% and keep it on hold. So they will release that particular money and there are some legal parts also involved. Means they will, if client agrees the developer delivered the exact thing what promised, then escrow will release the total amount to us. If not, they can dispute that one, but it is a secure way to get your payments. Means if you want to start on that one for the initial few times, I'd rather use escrow as a service, and at least your 100% money will be safe.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a short break here. Let's have a round of applause for our panel. Okay, we're going to come back after the break and continue our discussion. We're going to broaden the discussion and talk more about WordPress specifically and why it's such an advantage. But in the meantime, let's enjoy some coffee and each other's company. All right, be right back.